perhaps I can ask Annamaria to begin, to ask why do we need pan-European geothermal energy and CO2 and hydrogen storage maps to push the path towards decarbonisation?
I think, Julie, you already answered this question at the beginning, because you said very clearly that the geological maps or the atlases are the way how we can speak or explain our knowledge to the audience. And this is the same for the pan-European atlases, also for the geothermal atlas. So I would speak a little bit more about that, because that would be a very, very cheap answer, I think. So with the geothermal atlas, it is really a huge challenge, because there's a lot of knowledge about geothermal data in each European country. So we did not try to put together or harmonize the national data sets. But in a way, we started from scratch, which might sound strange. But at the very beginning of the work, we established a common methodology, the so-called geothermal play concept. And for those who are not experts, the geothermal plays are the big structural geologic units which hold the same properties, the same tectonic setting, the same heat flow mechanisms. So with that, we started to map this on this common concept, the geothermal plays in each individual country for all the 27 or whatever countries there. And in the end, with this play atlas, we have a totally harmonized data set for entire Europe. And the other big advantage is that this map does not only hold information about the surface, but because of this play concept, it also provides information about the subsurface. So if somebody looks at the map, does not see only different colorful patches, but those patches hold information, important information about the property of these geothermal settings. And why is it important? Because geothermal is so widespread. As it was mentioned, it can be used for heating and cooling, for electricity generation, for hot water supply, for spas, also for lithium. So I mean, this play concept really holds a very, very complex information for all types of different uses. And just the last sentence, that it was also mentioned that it is very important that at all actions we try to address real policy needs. And in that aspect, what is important that the third recast of the Renewable Energy Directive also introduced the idea of the so-called renewable acceleration areas, or go-to areas, which means that those are areas where renewable energy projects are expected to have a faster permitting process. So that's how we can push the fast track of the uptake of the different renewable energies. And with this map, with this geothermal atlas, we will show that what are the favorable areas in terms of resources for geothermal in Europe. So I think it will have a very, very direct impact on this aspect.
Yes, good morning. Laurent Courcy from BRGM. In groundwater, we have an increasing concern on temperature and variation of temperature. One is maybe induced by geothermal, the use of geothermal energy. Do you have a monitoring program to investigate the impact of this activity?
You mean monitoring of the environmental impact?
Yeah, for example, the increase of temperature in groundwater. That could be when you recycle the water, then you can increase. We saw it a lot in some urban areas, that we have already an increase of temperature, of groundwater temperature, due to the use of geothermal energy. So we can monitor as groundwater people, but maybe there is already some huge program.
Okay, so the impact of feeding geothermally heated water back into the groundwater system. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. So monitoring the impact of geothermal on groundwater.
Well, that's not directly coming from the geothermal atlas, but I think the information what the atlas provides will be also suitable for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, because I'm thinking that perhaps because we have included in this RIA, the MMB, because if I am right, probably Annamaria knows much better, is also thinking deep geothermal. I'm thinking when you are working with injecting or recovering the water, how can be impact in the deep aquifer or in the surrounding area, more thinking in this. However, as the SPRIA is open, you can make your suggestions.
Yes, thank you. Jeroen Schuppers, European Commission, DG Research. First of all, congratulations on your nice piece of work. I'm happy to see that you address the latest political challenges, in particular for the CCS part, where I want to come to, the Net Zero Industry Act and the Industrial Carbon Management Strategy. No question, but a piece of information that may be useful for you. The Industrial Carbon Management Strategy has a research chapter, and we plan to support that research chapter in the next work program of Horizon Europe with a couple of projects. In fact, all the portfolio of projects that we will publish will probably support this ICM. And two issues are of most importance directly to geological surveys. First of all, we will lend further support to this investment atlas of CO2 storage space, because you already have this in your SRIA, but it needs a bit more. If you zoom in, there may be more work needed, so we want to give that an extra push. Secondly, we will set up a new knowledge sharing platform for large industrial projects for CCS. This will be as well an important thing. Then coming to hydrogen, I'm happy to see that you have two priorities in hydrogen, underground storage and natural hydrogen. We support in Horizon Europe a so-called public-private partnership on renewable hydrogen, which is called the Clean Hydrogen Partnership. And they have annual work programs as well, where they publish calls for proposal. The total budget of this partnership is 1.2 billion, so a substantial amount of funds available. And they are already addressing in their calls underground storage, mainly artificial underground storage is becoming more and more important. And secondly, what they plan to do as well is launch a study on the not only the occurrence of natural hydrogen, but also indeed, as you rightly point out, the techno-economic aspects of this, but how to exploit it, not just explore for it, but how to exploit it, which is a challenge different from gas, from natural gas exploitation. So I would invite you as a community to look at those calls and to see where you can contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we might move across to raw materials now. Just a first question to Guillaume is, why will the Pan-European Critical Raw Materials maps contribute to the success of the CRM Act?
Thank you. That's a question for me. I think there is not a contradiction, but a kind of gap between the time frame of the Critical Raw Material Act that sets ambitious, a benchmark by 2030, and in the mining world, 2030 it's tomorrow, and the average time to develop a mining project that is 17 to 18 years. So actually we cannot rely on future discoveries of deposits to succeed in implementing the CRM Act. So we have to develop our knowledge of where is the resource and how available is that resource. And that's one of the goals of the map. Not the map, but beyond the map, the data that is displayed on the map. And in parallel, we must not forget that we must also have a long-term vision, and of course we need to develop exploration, and that's why we are also in parallel to the map of critical raw material deposits in Europe. We are also developing prospectivity maps because it also supports discovery of new deposits that hopefully will be exploited in a later future. So yeah, yes, I think it's important to have these two visions: short-term CRM Act and benchmark of the CRM Act by 2030, and longer term.
Yep, fantastic. And of course, all of the work going into the national exploration programs by the geological surveys will contribute to that second part of the story. Any other questions in regard to raw materials? Perhaps something for all of you is the question of how important is public trust in advancing subsurface exploration projects, and what do you think what communication strategies do you think are effective in building trust?
I don't know what is the solution, but I think that well, first of all, yes, public trust is crucial. It's key. We've seen that recently in Serbia with the JADA project, for instance, lithium project, that is facing strong public opposition. What is not working is lack of communication and lack of education, I think. So we have to work on that, and I think that transparent communication is key and education is key. And in education, I'm also thinking about all stakeholders, including younger age education. I think that we should have in textbooks of junior high school chapters on why raw materials are important, where and how do they form, etc., etc. It's a long-term process. It might take a complete generation, but it's, in my opinion, necessary to change the vision on mining and raw materials.
Thank you.
Thanks again. I did read, like you see, I did read the document. I noticed something in your document. You're referring to CCUS, and then in the text you only have CCS. If you omitted on purposely the usage of carbon storage, then you should mention it. Otherwise, I suggest you unify the abbreviations, okay? So it's clear that you're not avoiding further utilization of CO2 storage. Thanks.
Thanks. And there's another question in the back.
Thank you. One question which I always wonder is, how can you facilitate transporter projects? Transporter, so how can you facilitate it? Is this within your program? Generally, all of the resources, all of the underground usage is frequently hindered in a certain way by borders, no matter which.
And CO2, how we can do it? With the capture industry, the emitters, they are looking for a place where they can store it. It's very easy. So if you map the storage places with the emitters, they found a way to storage a place. And if it's really important for the country to support the industry, then they're looking for the way to build this transboundary agreement between them to really create the path. So we have a really important role to really show where they can store the CO2 or the hydrogen.
Just to add on hydrogen, the hydrogen has, at the moment, one of the biggest potential in the transportation. Hydrogen fuel vehicles are running in more and more European cities. So when we are looking either for natural hydrogen or generation of green hydrogen, I think that's a great potential in the future.
Thank you very much. I am Zoltán Nemet from Slovak Republic. We are talking about carbon capture and storage. If we store something, we have in mind that we will use in the future this stored CO2. It is not true because we probably don't want to use it. So question is one, we want to store something which we do not want to use in the future. Much better way is to carbon capture and use and CCU. So there are developed methodologies, even in our institute of Slovakia, that we can completely change CO2 to precipitated calcium carbonate, which will be used in industry. There is no need that time to transport. Nevertheless, if we think about carbon capture and storage, and we are discussing about transporting CO2, we must have in mind that it needs energy. If it needs energy, there is a risk that we must produce another CO2, because producing energy deliberates another CO2. Next, we have another third way how to liquidate it. This is natural carbon capture storage using photosynthesis. Today we are discussing that point in the morning session, so-called bio, CCS, using photosynthesis. And even that time, we precisely can calculate how large tonnage of CO2 is liquidated, and it's proportional the tonnage of newly grown wood in the forests. So reforestation is much more effective way how to liquidate CO2, in my opinion. So that's all. Thank you.
We will love it. We will love to use CO2. It's the final objective of everybody. I think that everybody's agreed with recycling and circular economy and so on. The problem is that we don't have capacity or commercial market for this product now, or technologies to move from CO2 to other products. We need some time, 20, 30, 40 years, and within this time we can be emitting to the atmosphere or storage in a place. It's just a question of decision.
Thank you, Paula.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your excellent presentations and the SRIA outlook. My name is Jan Diederik van Wees. I'm lead scientist on geothermal energy at TNO, but also very active in the geothermal arena in Europe. I'm also vice president of the European Technology and Innovation Platform for Geothermal, and I also have been coordinator SRIA of geothermal. And I have also been lead scientist in a number of resource assessment studies for European geothermal potential in the past, including GeoELEC, and also recently we have finalized a resource assessment study jointly with European Partners for Africa in the LIPARI project. And my question is not related to these products, but to the challenges you envisage in relation to the data access you have. Do you envisage that you have sufficient data access to data which is residing in industry from the past, especially the oil and gas industry, or other industries which are relevant, maybe the mining industry for CRM, and if every legislation aspect or legal aspects are fully in place which can accelerate your work?
Well, we have great ambitions in the GSU project and also in the continuation to provide public access to all, let's say geothermal, but it also stands for CO2 or hydrogen-related public data which are stored at the National Geological Surveys through HDI. So HDI already provides a great set of data maps and data sets, and as it was also presented, the ambition is that it grows or develops from a data sharing point to a kind of knowledge hub where not only the raw data or the interpreted data are shared with the public, but also how you say, an added value data information is available, and we are working quite hard on that. And I can speak of the geothermal part, so we plan to publish the first inventory of the geothermal data sets, I think, in 2025. And of course, it will develop continuously, but the first outcomes will be available fairly soon.
With the new data that we will plan, with the net zero industry are pointing out us to the geological surveys to collect from the oil and gas business and the mining, we are planning how to do it. It's not the same level of information from some countries, but for example, oil and gas business around North Sea, like for example in Spain, that is our case. Unfortunately, we will not have too much data from the surface. But everything is welcome, and we are learning one from others. But yes, we expect new data, and we are really happy to have this new data.